Well, welcome back and good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the Community Redevelopment Agency regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, August 22nd, and it is 6 o'clock. Call the roll, please.
Chairman James.
Here.
Vice Chairman Harris.
Here.
Board Member Brandemart.
Here.
Board Member Grace.
Here.
Board Member Salvino.
Here.
Interim Director Weeks.
Here.
City Attorney Ansbro. Thank you.
Right on time.
All right.
All right. Guess we'll start with citizens' comments. We have one.
Okay.
Darlene Mosby. Will you please come up and state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Arlene Mosby. I live at 111 Southeast First Street, apartment 114. Thank you for taking care of that. That matter I had last time. I appreciate it. I haven't had a problem since. And I volunteer with a mobile school pantry, but I do it in Hollywood. And I didn't know how to come to you to ask if Dania could get in on it. Why shouldn't I volunteer here, Dania?
Okay.
I have cards with the lady that runs it. I can give you some cards for her. I don't know, I didn't know who I should go to.
What is it called again?
Mobile school pantry.
Mobile School Pantry.
Yes, she brings food to schools. The families have to sign up beforehand. And she brings in food. She just purchased the bus, so she's gonna get the bus and have the food set up in the bus, drive it to the schools, and the families can go in and out and have food for the month.
Mayor,
Yes.
are you talking about Nadine McCray?
No, ma'am, her name is Dina.
Dina, okay.
They
Okay.
paid for this?
She gets grants. It's on Facebook. That's why I brought some cards. I didn't know who to go to see if this could happen for Dania School.
Okay. Well, let me have a card. How about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we do have it during the summer for the pantry at our schools
Yeah.
for the luncheons and so
Free.
forth, but there's always a need for more, so we'll see.
Well, thank you. Thank you for bringing this up to us. I'm sure someone will be in contact with Miss Zena.
Oh, she's the founder.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Presentations.
Good afternoon.
Technical difficulties. Good afternoon, CRA board members. It was my pleasure to attend the 2017 Florida Festival and Events Association Sensational Awards ceremony on August 2nd in Orlando. And we were pleasantly surprised to learn that Dania Beach CRA won 11 awards. We won the most awards in Southeast Florida. So what was interesting about it was that we won 2 awards for Neighborhood Ambassador, 2 awards for the Patch, and 7 awards for the 5th Annual Arts and Seafood Celebration. Wonderful. So we have with us today Ms. Lainey Shapiro. She is the South Florida Ambassador for Florida Festival and Events Association. She's also the president of Touch Pole, and she's here to present the awards to you. Lainey? Yes.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
evening.
I'm
Good
Lady
evening.
Shapiro with Touch Pole South Florida. I've also had the pleasure of working with the city of Dania Beach to do the survey at the Dania Beach Art and Seafood Festival a couple of years ago. So it's really exciting to be here. I represent the Florida Festival and Event Association. We have been around for 23 years, promoting and supporting and educating and networking and promoting best practices in the event and festival industry. So this is quite an honor to be a part of. And for the Sensational Awards, it's been going for many years, we had 400 applications. So it was quite a busy field of competition there. So what we do is we recognize the talents of our members in the areas of marketing and advertising, social media. So we had 400 applications, and I'm excited to say that the city of Dania Beach swept Southeast Florida. There were a total of 43 awards, and you received 26% of that. Being a marketing research person, I will put that into percentages. So 26% was swept by Dania Beach. So it is my honor to present you with 7 awards for the Dania Beach Arts and Seafood Celebration. First place in commemorative poster, first place in Facebook, first place in PR and media campaign, second place in sponsor program, second place in website, second place in promotional mailer, and third place in your TV ad. Also, you received 2 awards for the Dania Beach Neighborhood Ambassador events, and that was first place in community outreach program, and third place for your television ad. And third, the Patch Urban Farm and Market received first place for your outdoor ad and your billboard, and second place for your green program. So on behalf of the Florida Festival and Event Association, we applaud you and thank you for participating with FFEA.
I don't want to go. Shouldn't Sarah be done? Sarah.
High heel, very high, too high. Oh, my God.
No, same thing. Going straight one.
I gotta tone it down.
Do you know where this, look,
Oh, she left?
she leave?
Oh, I was going to say thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank
I have a
you.
question.
She's gone. Oh, she's gone? Okay.
Okay.
That was fast.
Hit and run.
We now move on to the presentation of the CRA budget. This is the proposed budget for the CRA for fiscal year 2018. This is the revenue section. We have two sections, the revenue, of course, and the expenses, and then we'll have a very short section on the patch. The city provides funding for the CRA through its general fund. That's funding in lieu of tax increment. And this year, the request is $890,000. The second column shows the cost allocation, which is $224,331. And that is basically a pass-through payment to the city for the services provided by the city to the CRA, such as finance, public services, those type of services the city provides for us. The line item that says $250,000, that is an amount which we have included in the budget to cover potential debt service for the city center loan. This loan is for parcel 109 and a portion of the parking garage for Broward County. And the reason why this amount is here is because we are actually awaiting the certificate of occupancy for the place of Dania Beach to be able to remove this from the budget. This amount is due on March 31st, 2018, but we do have to show it in the CRA budget because it's due and we have not completed the certificate of occupancy for the place of Dania Beach. We do hope to have that certificate of occupancy within the next couple of weeks. According to the Community Development Department, we've been working with them, the CRA has been working with them to get that certificate of occupancy so that we can provide information to Broward County so that they can convert the loan to a grant.
Are you finished with that one?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I have a question about that one.
Okay.
Could you please explain why we need to go out and get a bond to get a CO for this place? And why we only have a TCO and because of something that has occurred, now we have to go out and get an additional bond so that we can get forgiven with this $250,000?
Yes. The place of Dania Beach, the building is obviously complete and it's beautiful, but there was a need for additional landscaping, exterior landscaping, and my understanding is that landscaping was not completed on time, and they are required to complete that landscaping before the engineer can sign off on the project. And the landscaping, the cost of the bond that we have asked for is $32,000. I believe that's the cost of the landscaping. They did provide us with the bond, and currently it's at the city attorney's office for review. But the understanding was we had to get, if we needed to get the CO quickly, then we needed to get the bond done so that the CO would be approved by the Community Development Department. They required the bond because it's going to take some time for the place of Dania Beach to work with FDOT to arrange for the landscaping, and that's my knowledge of it.
So who's in charge of making sure this place had landscaping before it got this far? I mean, they're already leasing, correct?
They're leasing, yes. They're leasing.
So they were supposed to already have the landscaping?
Well, that's my understanding. I didn't know what was the reason why we didn't have a CO, and then I learned that it was this landscaping
Okay.
matter, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, okay, all right. So the other sources of revenue are interest from the income from our account, and also we have a carry forward balance this year of $285,000. So we basically asking for 1.658142 in revenue from the city. But just please bear in mind that the $224,000 is just a pass-through cost allocation. So you will see it coming up in the expense column and in the expense page when we get to that. And also, we are really optimistic that the $250,000 will go away as soon as we get the certificate of occupancy for the place at Dania Beach. So, so that's our revenue page. In terms of expense for administration, we have a total of 4 staff members at the CRA, and the request for salary is $478,182. As you know, we are in the process of hiring an executive director, so that includes the executive director's salary. For professional services, we have a reduced amount from 2017 because, as you recall, Redevelopment Management Associates, they were providing the executive director services to us through their management services contract, and that was terminated after our executive director interim left. So the professional services amount right now is $135,000. And just to give you an idea of some of the line items, we have RMA for marketing, public relations, and consulting. We have an $85,000 amount there. It is for both the marketing and public relations, and also a portion of that will be for the P3 RFQ project that they are currently working on. That project is expected to close on September 22nd, and we are going to be getting the quotes in for that. And so we hope that they'll be able to continue and work on that project once we open the bids, and then we go to the review process. RTMG, that's our digital marketing. It's not exactly 30,000, it's going to be less, but we always leave a little bit more there in case we end up having to work a little bit more and need some more social marketing coverage, then we have enough money in the budget. The Gabaton Group, they are federal lobbyists. And this year we decided that we were not going to continue with them. This was a decision taken after we looked at our programs for the year and didn't feel that we needed a federal lobbyist, and we also were trying to keep the budget as lean, as economical as possible. And so therefore we did not, put a request for the Gabaton Group.
Who do we have for us on the federal level now that we don't have?
We won't have anyone for the federal level.
Commissioner Salvino, Board Member Salvino, I'm sorry.
Yes, I have a few questions. I see what the line items you have up there. Can you explain the line items, though, in detail? I mean, there's not much detail up there as far as the 4 CRA staff members. The reason it was going up is because we're going to be putting a CRA executive director on. Is that what that's for?
Yeah, if you look at the 2017 column, the 307,443 represented the 3 CRA staff members, the CRA manager, the CRA Economic Development Manager, and the CRA Coordinator.
Right.
And when you look at our professional services, there's a 359,148. So
What is that?
157,000 of that was for the Executive Director. So now for the new director that's coming in, we have a budget of 478,182. I assume that we will know the exact amount when we decide on what salary the new director will come in on and what are the benefits.
Okay, I understand what you're saying on there. I just think that I'm not sure whether it's just me or it could be the whole board that may not understand. I'm looking at 307,000 versus 478,000. That difference there is $170,000. And then you go down to your professional services and you drop it down to 135 because you're removing 359,000, I guess, is what you're doing. Just adding up quickly from that. And on the professional services, which was what, RMA? Is that the $260,000?
Yes, that was RMA,
right?
yes.
But then you're putting it back in on RMA on 85,000. That's for our marketing and consulting.
Yes.
Okay, and then you're going down on the what is the digital
The
marketing?
digital marketing is RTMG. They handle all our social media for they handle the patch, the CRA's website. They do social media, and they also do the website updates for us.
Okay.
They also did Arts and Seafood Celebration. Now that is gone, and that is why we will have a reduced amount for that.
Okay, that you say, well, it's maybe gone. We haven't
Yes.
decided. The Gabaton Group, tell me why you released the lobbyist, if we don't have one, that helps us apply for some of the grants. Can you tell us what he or she, whoever that is, I think that's Josh, is that right, Josh?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you tell me what he did for $41,000, and was it beneficial, or why did we release him that are taken off the budget?
Well, he provided legislative updates on a monthly basis to the executive director. And in terms of this particular decision, it was made, this budget was done before Rachel left, and this was one of the things she decided on. Her consideration was that we hadn't used him much. We had used him a lot in the past. He had actually facilitated trips to Washington and contacts with representatives in Washington, federal representatives in the past. But
What did he bring back with that when he went?
I do not know. That I do not know. I know that he took members, he facilitated them. This year in particular, what I do know that he did was we have a USDA grant out through Broward Regional Health Planning Council, and he assisted with getting letters of recommendation from Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Senator Nelson. So those were the 2 things he did for that particular grant. But the grant was written by Dan Murphy, Rachel Back, and Tina of Broward Regional Health Planning Council, and that was for the USDA grant. That's the only one that I'm aware of that we went for in 2017 at this point.
Is that something that he should have taken upon himself to get these grants, or is this something by direction from the director?
My understanding of it since I've been here at the city, he would provide you with opportunities for grants, and if you were pursuing it, he would provide some information on the grants, but he's really not someone who writes the grants.
Right.
The grants are left up to the CRA to
CRA
write and to
director,
pursue.
Okay,
And
who writes our grants for the CRA?
Dan, actually, Dan, you want to speak on that? Because Dan has been following up on all our grants and working with Rachel on the grants.
I'm Dan Murphy. I live at 529 East Sheridan.
Thanks, Dan.
Been here for 4.5. So, actually, Jeremy Earl, at the first director of the CRA, initiated a contract with Josh Evans. And at the very beginning, he was quite active. At the very beginning, he was quite active in identifying sources of federal funds for Dania Beach. The two most notable projects were beach renourishment. When Commissioner Jones traveled to Washington, they were able to bring back a substantial amount of funding for beach renourishment. And then, in addition, there was a second grant that he worked on that resulted in Dania Beach getting, I think, around $100,000. But, beg your pardon?
Was it the airport?
No,
You
he
got money
wasn't
from?
involved in
No,
government
No?
that
it's
I know
different.
of. That was more a state initiative. But, and Josh has been proactive in terms of when commissioners would travel to Washington on economic development matters. For example, I wrote a grant proposal to build a training school here for the marine industry. And when Commissioner Jones and Ann Castro traveled to Washington 2 years ago, he took them to meet with the Economic Development Administration in Washington and later on in Atlanta. And we came really close to getting a grant at that time. We only failed because we didn't meet a deadline
That's right.
for submission. So he was really active. But in the last couple of years, the number of grant opportunities has declined, and his work has declined. And in addition, we really don't have a grant writer in the city. So Kathleen and I discussed this with Rachel, and her thinking was that the city of Dania Beach could conceivably use representation in Washington more effectively than the CRA could, because our programs are now limited to maybe the patch and a couple of economic development initiatives. And so, our recommendation was that we take his contract out of our budget. I think Josh is a great guy, and he has set up very effective agendas when people have gone up there. He supported our grants, like Kathleen said, by getting people from the Florida delegation to sign off on our grants and issue letters of support, things like that. Josh has done an effective job. So, but unless we have a grant writer and an ability to follow through on it, if the city of Dania Beach does, I think my God, what's the budget? Federal budget is $1 trillion.
Really fast, Dan.
There's money there that we could bring back to Dania Beach.
And I want to say this to board member Salvino as well. I saw a lot of emails of correspondence of Josh that were reaching out to Rachel, and Rachel was not reaching back out to Josh. It was a lot of opportunities. It was a lot of grants that were available, and we missed a lot of deadlines because she did not. She told him to come to the meetings in June. Now, I haven't even heard of a Josh Gabaton before last week. I didn't know he existed before he contacted me directly, and I think I forwarded the email to maybe Colin or our city manager and asked, who is this and where did he come from? And he told me that he had been trying to reach out to us, but kind of, with the transition of Rachel and everything else, that no one, like, I've seen emails. I do agree that we need either a grant consultant or a grant writer to go hand in hand with him. However, a lot of the things that he sent me personally, outside of group, I guess, emails, if he sent everyone else in the group the emails, there are things that we need. these are some grants that are out there that I feel like we can get. I know that there are a lot of grants that we don't even apply for. There are a lot of opportunities that we don't apply for because we don't have a grant writer. And I know it takes a lot of time and efforts from staff, but if we're going to spend money somewhere, we need to spend money to where we're receiving these types of grants, because there are a lot of things. It could be federal funding if we're talking about this administration that wants to support infrastructure. It could be federal funding for these sidewalks to go over these railroad tracks or things like that. Like, we have things that he can go out and try to lobby and get with an opportunity, but I don't even know what he can do and what he can't do, because I just met him this weekend at the League of Cities for the first time ever. And so if, I don't know what this board wants to do, but I definitely think we need someone at the federal level, and I definitely think we need a grant consultant or a grant writer. A consultant will work faster than a grant writer. Obviously, we'll have to go out to bid, but somebody to actually help us get these opportunities. A lot of opportunities we don't even apply for.
I would agree 100% with what you're saying. The only comment I would add to that is that the CRA is only a portion of the city, and his ability to impact our work
It's more than CRA. I understand what you're
is
saying.
reduced. I mean, for example, a lot of his emails having to do with the Department of Agricultural grant for the patch. I don't know why Rachel didn't particularly answer them, but I do know that she and I worked really closely. Once the grant opportunity was identified, we spent days, literally days, writing the grant application. And
No, I
finding all
understand
the
what you're
details
saying.
and
You
everything
guys
else.
need help. It's heard.
So, but I mean, his ability to impact CRA business from here forward is limited to maybe 2 opportunities, and we will spend I'll probably wind up writing the grant in both cases, even though he identified that.
He works for us until October, correct?
Yeah.
That's correct, and we're working on a project right now.
Okay. Vice Mayor? Vice Chair?
I also met with him in Orlando, and I think since we have until October 1st, that I think he's going to come down here, so maybe it's a workshop we need to have with him to find out what we can get in under the wire, under the CRA, and then possibly transition him over to a grant consultant in the city, because, I mean, just looking around myself and talking to others and going to that one grants seminar in Orlando, there's lots of things to be had for a aggressive grant writer.
Board Member Brenda Marty?
Dan, why did we miss that deadline on that grant? That was a big grant.
Well, actually, we missed it 1 year because of the filing deadline was on the day after Thanksgiving, and the password that we were assigned didn't work, and we were calling Washington, and we missed it because of a technicality. Our grant was ready and written. We were ready to push the button and submit, but we couldn't get into the site. So the second year, Tina worked with us, and we were able to submit well in advance of the deadline.
Was Josh involved in that?
No.
Then obviously you must need him.
Well, he identifies the grant opportunity.
He doesn't write them.
Yeah, if he's finding
heard it.
these things for you to look into these grants, he shouldn't have even been eliminated from that budget.
agree.
Really, think about that. There should have been something else and keep him.
The
At
only-
least he was looking.
The only thing I can't agree with the CRA, hold on. If someone pressed the button, press it again.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. The only thing I can't agree is maybe it should be under the city and not the CRA, because I do think that he can get us funding outside of the CRA. I think that he can be a lobbyist for the entire city and not just focus on the areas of the CRA. So that's the only thing I can't understand where you guys are coming from. We already have a limited staff and you have a lot of load. So if we're going to keep him, I think that it would be smarter for us. I mean, we're the one that's giving the CRA the money in the first place, so it doesn't matter if we keep him on our side or on their side. Correct. So it would be smarter, I feel like, for us to keep him on the umbrella of the city so we can use him as a more broader reach than just our CRA. Board Member Salvino?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same track you're on, Chairman, is that a chairwoman? Is that what you do?
Either
Chair Queen.
Chair Queen, okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Chair Queen, I feel that, one thing that caught my attention on, there's 2 things up there that I'm a little questionable on, and I'll talk to the other one in a minute, but the grant writing for the city is none. And along with that, I can't understand how many opportunities we've missed. Whether Josh Gaviton is the person, he does not write grants, but he is effective in Washington. And whoever, whether it's him or anybody else is effective in Washington, in our budget workshop, we should consider a fee of that type of something to get somebody that can help us lobby for things outside of the things that we're trying to do to help us, as long as we can incorporate it in the CRA. If Dan's saying that we only have a couple of things that he can pursue in the CRA,
CRA map.
just a couple of things. I mean, it's not worth putting, like you say, in the CRA, but overall, I think we should consider it. I won't drag that on anymore, but that's something we can do in a workshop. But I do have another question.
Okay.
Down on the budget, I'm trying to figure out if we have the $250,000 repayment back
Yes.
off of the county that's for the completion of the
Yes.
Pennsylvania Beach. If you add that back into it, if we weren't getting it, you'd be at $1,520,000, which is an increase of $150,000 in the
No.
somewhere around there, right? $150,000 increase. If you took the $250,000 out of that figure, because let's
Subtract it.
on the bottom
Yes.
of the repayment, to take the 250 out.
Yeah.
But if you add that back in, if that money wasn't there,
Yeah.
you'd be adding that money to that, right?
No, actually, if we take it out, right now, our budget is 1.6. If we take it out, our budget will be 1.4.
Yeah, but we're giving, that money's going back into it. You're actually adding the money into the budget that you're getting the repayment from. If we weren't getting the repayment,
Yeah.
then you would be down to $1,070,000. Okay,
Right.
then
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
The point is that you're adding that money back into it, so you're reducing. I guess you're reducing the budget this year. Is that what you're doing?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
But the question is, when you go to reduce that there and you're taking that money for the repayment back for the loan that we did,
Right.
I understand. You took out the art and seafoods. We never agreed to completely ignore that. We'd said that the CRA may not run the whole thing. You must smile at it. You must think it was coming, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I was.
I mean, there still needs to be, the CRA is, I think the board is still going to try to incorporate
Okay.
the CRA involved in that, where there should be a little bit of a budget to work with if we're going to do it. I mean, unless the city's going to do the whole thing, which I didn't think
Okay.
that was the plan.
Well, we have $54,000, 818 in contingency. I can definitely go back to both the city accountants and the RMA consultant we have, who's really, really good at looking and finding, money that is, there, and probably try to put some money in there. But the question for me was how much money we wanted to put into the budget. And one of the reasons why we moved Gabaton is that the impression we had all around is because the city, wants to be very lean in terms of allocating funds, that we work very hard to make sure that we don't put excessive amounts of money into line item areas unless we're absolutely sure that we will use it.
I'm all right with everything else. Yes. Okay, thanks. I just thought that maybe, I'm not opposed to the budget. I just feel that somewhere along the line, we might need to allocate some of that, because I think I think Commissioner Chair Grace had also, her and I expressed the fact that we could make this work.
Okay. So we have the actual budget comes back to you on September 12th, for confirmation, and we will add something into the line item there for the arts. Well, an event that will be a cultural event for the city.
Chairwoman Grace.
Acting Director, I don't want you to take anything and put it aside without thinking about the Arts and Seafood Festival is not going to be happening, because
Okay.
it is. And I do believe that the CRA is going to be an intimate part of helping us put the event on for the 1 or the 2 days. I do agree with my colleague that we have some expertise, and we're going to pull some of the organizations together, so it will be a networking of just not CRA promoter. It will be the whole city as a whole to make sure that this works at a lesser cost,
Okay.
so that we can generate and make monies
Right.
this time around.
Right.
Maybe at our next meeting, we can sit down and plan like, I know that, Kathleen and Sarah was involved in it, and Keisha, that we time is an element. You don't want to wait till 3 days,
Absolutely.
3 months ahead of time. So maybe we can put together at a little meeting, and just, put some ideas together and get started, at least get a fixture on what we're going to do with it.
We need to start working on this ASAP because next year will be upon us. The only thing I want to caution us about is that please do the calendar of events when other cities are doing their festivals so that we don't have the clique that we've had in the past. Even if we have to move it back or move it forward, let's not do it so that we're competing with someone else.
Like Fort Lauderdale, we did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, and the final item there is the contingency. We have 54,818. Okay, so now this is our programming budget page, and this is for our capital improvement projects and our city center projects, neighborhoods, and the commercial incentives. The city center figure is $184,000. Of that, we are doing the conceptual plan for Northwest, Southwest First Avenue streetscape. And as Rachel mentioned in a meeting past, that's going to be a secondary shopping street downtown. The amount we have in the budget is $105,000. The conceptual plan has already been done, and it's with the Public Service Department and the Community Development Department for review. So we're hoping to bring that conceptual plan to you for you to see what it looks like. The city is doing the infrastructure work for that area, but we are doing the conceptual design, and it's really very nice, landscape and lots of lovely trees. We hope that this will be a great walking area and just, a nice public area. Stretching from Mo Udell Street to Hill Street. That's the initial part, from Mo Udell to Hill, but also going all the way to First. So it takes in all of those businesses along this street, Southwest and Northwest First Avenue. We normally give $5,000 to the Vintage Motorcycle Show. They are a partner in events. Because the only two events we have are the Arts and Seafood Celebration and the Vintage Motorcycle Show. So they are a great partner, and we're happy to do that again this year. And in addition to doing the streetscape, we had hoped to have an event called Art and Vintage Walk on the Avenue. It was a short series with 5 events held downtown in cooperation with the Creative Arts Council Advisory Board and also the merchants. We wanted to do a Saturday afternoon event, bring people into the city and get a sense of our art. We hope to have art in the atrium here. It's going to be a nice open event. Our budget for that is $32,000, so that was added into the budget for it. And we hope to start in November. So it's basically a street walk, art walk. Most cities do it. The idea is to get people to start to be familiarized with this, with the sense that Northwest, Southwest First Avenue will be the downtown core. By the time the Morrison is complete, we're going to have visitors at the library, at the cul-de-sac and the fountain, and then that street. So that whole streetscape will be really nice. And we're trying to get people to come in even before we do all of that, just to get a sense of who we are, where we are, and to participate. So that is the Art and Vintage Walk on the Avenue. And then the other figures you see for our downtown events, initiatives, downtown marketing and promotions, RMA is going to be presenting their proposal for marketing. These figures they coordinate with their marketing proposal, because in that marketing proposal, there is work for videos, promotional pieces. We're looking at one of the proposals that the CRA board chair mentioned about a booklet inside Dania Beach, or whatever you want to call it. So this is where the funding will come for those type of initiatives. Creative design, banners. Once the city decides on its branding, we want to have banners back in the cul-de-sac with whatever the branding is for the city, but of course with the CRA touch, because we like to do that. Yeah.
Chairwoman Grace.
I recently went to Savannah, Georgia, and they have what they call an historical map of Dania Beach. So as we're going through the branding period, I want us to look at the trying to do a map for Dania Beach historical downtown or surrounding area so that people can stop in at Jackson's, can stop in at Runway 84, can stop in at Antonio's, can go to the Dania Beach Casino to visit some of our historical spots. So I have that map, and I'll give it to you, Kathleen,
Okay.
so you can take a look at it. But it was very beneficial to us because we actually did some of the historical tours, and maybe when we're working with some of the trolleys and the hotels, moving their people backwards and forth to some of the events like we did for Margaritaville when we were down there to the casino, we can implement that for historical Dania Beach.
Okay. The neighborhoods you see gateway signs, basically, those are for conceptual designs, again, for signage in some of our neighborhoods, again, to match the new Dania Beach sign that will be going up once we have the branding done. $125 has been earmarked for commercial incentives and economic development. That's Dan's area. These are for all the grants. He is already, I think, oversubscribed for these grants because he always has more customers than we have in terms of money. I'll just go through quickly because I know we're running out a little slow on time, a little fast on time. So the $50,000 that you see here is for a downtown conceptual master plan. And just to take a couple of minutes to talk about the fact that we do need to create a more structured and organized downtown along the Federal Highway corridor. In terms of zoning, in terms of the businesses that are coming in, we have a lot of hotels, but there are also a lot of other small businesses. We need to have the correct look. The facades need to be improved. We need to re-energize the activities that go on downtown. And so we felt that some money should be put into the budget to organize this properly. The market analysis, which is being done by RMA, is going to be presented on September 12th. That's the first start, that's the start for getting towards getting a master plan done for downtown. It's really critical for us as the CRA, if we are responsible for a blighted downtown area, we need to revitalize it and we need to have a proper plan to develop it. And then for community outreach, you're all familiar with everything here. Neighborhood ambassadors, merchant meetings. We've won awards for neighborhood ambassadors. We have a great business luncheon and Branca Broker events. So in summary, and we went through this before, the request is $1.6 million. Hopefully that $250,000 will come out for the county, and we'll be really looking at something along the lines of maybe 5, because as you were instructed, if we have to put back in something for the CRA and some other areas, we will make that adjustment. And we do want to thank Nikki Satterfield and Adam Siegel for helping us. They have helped us with getting our budget together. And then, of course, RMA, they're going to be doing the 5-year finance and implementation plan, which is the projected estimate of 5 years down the road, which our business developers like to see because they want to make sure that we have the adequate proposals to develop the CRA areas. So that's the budget. Just quickly, the neighborhood patch. Let me just give you a couple of things quickly. We remain with the same budget, 3 members of staff, $57,000 for staff, operations $92,000, for a total of $150,000, and we have a contingency of $25,000. The great news is that we desperately needed a new member of staff, and that has been provided through the apprenticeship program, which completed successfully recently. And we now have Skirmy Clerville, and he's right here. Skirmy, do you understand?
And it's not costing us anything, let them know.
No, it's not costing us a cent. Courtesy Broward Regional Health Planning Council, he'll be with us 18 hours a day during the week, and that's fantastic.
18 hours a day?
No, 18 hours a week, sorry.
18 hours.
Child,
18 hours a week. 18 hours a week. So he's going to be working with us. We had a lot of great apprentices, and we're really happy that they came on the program, and we have great reaction from the public regarding the program. So
Thank you.
We have more plots available, but we have a good vision here to see that we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plots. We do have some more space in the community garden, so we advise everybody to come out and get a plot. 6-bag plot is $30 and 12-bag plots are $55. It's really a good deal for people to come in and get some agriculture going for themselves.
I'm so happy.
Yes, so that's still going. Yeah.
Board Member Grace?
Kathleen, the networking that we do with the merchants
Yeah.
is so important because we have so many empty buildings in the city of Dania Beach right now. We would like to fill them with quality, new development, new partners to come in. When we have that next event here at City Hall, can we really stress the need of them reaching out, we reaching out to them to try to get some quality projects from the CRA?
Absolutely, and I'm going to just wrap up on the patch, and then Dan is going to come up, and he has, just a couple of words to say about that.
So we only have
15 minutes, oh, sorry. Okay, so Dan, quickly. Just want to tell everybody, thank you for coming out to the back to school. It was amazing. We had Miss Dania Beach. She was amazing.
Was she the only person that was amazing?
Oh, Commissioner Grace was cooking.
No one had to go to the hospital because of your cooking.
Okay, I'll try and keep this to 5 minutes or so. I'll zip through it. Just so that you know that the Economic Development Manager and the Economic Development Department has been working. I'll touch on a few current projects. The first one I have a lot of pride in, which is the Job Training Fair that took place here on August 8th. We had about 20 exhibitors, training exhibitors, including OIC that does free training and a number of others that do paid training, and CareerSource was here and announced that they could fund a lot of that paid training. So it's going to be the stimulus to many other projects. I already have 2 follow-up projects to do. We have a merchant meeting. The merchant meeting you were referring to is going to take place on the 7th. We've already got about 15 people confirmed without even having sent out a flyer. Because we're touching on hot buttons like signage and code violations and things like that. And so they're really interested in that. I'm going up this Sunday to Orlando to ICSC. I'll man the booth Monday and Tuesday. This has been a great contact for us. We'll be within earshot of Dania Point and their booth, and we'll be right down the row from RMA and their booth. And so we think we have the field pretty well covered. We're scheduling the annual business lunch on September 21st. Last year, you may remember, we had a great lunch.
Amazing things.
This year, Dave Anderton, the strategic director of Port Everglades, is going to talk, and he's great friends with Dev Matwani, and Dev is going to talk about the Tryon project at our business lunch. So it should be a good draw. It's going to be held at Nova Southeastern Oceanographic Center out there at the spectacular view of the port. So that ought to be very good. And then we are just finalizing our what's called the banker broker or the developer event on in October, the 12th of October. It's going to be held at Gallery of Amazing Things. We have now that they have formed this business council here in town with developers and attorneys and finance people, we should make that a spectacular event as well. Just so you know, I'm the city's liaison on the branding council. I happened to be on a cruise during the last meeting, but I am really close with the people who are evolving that. The city center RFQs coming in September 21st. We should be receiving the applications, the RFQs for that. There are a couple of minor projects. The South Broward Mobility Study, at the study between Hollywood, Hollandale, and Dania Beach about mobility issues, and we've applied for a grant from the MPO for that study. The city of Hollandale took the lead on putting that grant application together. We're finishing up next week. We should have the downtown market analysis that is the result of me conducting surveys and things like that. And we're starting the business outreach program. And then we made the BRP, the Broward Redevelopment Program submission this year. We're applying for $1 million grant for the Tryon project. with the BRP. And
Missed
I'm
the
not
deadline.
certain whether or not the city was also going to be applying for the Oasis project, and haven't touched base to find out if they made that deadline. But the deadline was extended. So if there aren't any other questions, that was, may have settled and speed record.
You said the deadline was extended on the Oasis?
The deadline for the Broward redevelopment program was extended by Beam Fur. He felt like, he added, the Commissioner Fur felt like there should be more daycare for kids and more affordable housing initiatives, and there were none in the initial submission. So
Okay.
He's
he
right.
recommended that they extend the deadline by about 5 weeks, and it was extended.
Okay, thank you. Okay, really quickly, we have the consent agenda. Do we have any pulls?
Move the item.
Second.
Wait, I guess we have a pull.
The authorization for a real-time marketing group for the website. Who owns the website?
CRA.
Is it a
It-
WordPress site?
No, it's VUP Media actually runs the website for us, but Real Time Media updated our arts and seafood celebration. So this is what this payment is for.
So $1,400 to do a
It was a 2-year period. It was
A what?
700, it was for 2 years. It was for 2015 and 2016, 2017. Yeah.
but who owns it? The CRA?
Yes.
The Dania Beach CRA?
Yes.
Okay.
And it is WordPress. This was
It is a
act-
WordPress site?
It is a WordPress
Well, then we could do
site.
the changes ourselves. I don't know why we have to pay
No,
$1,400.
Digital Media, they do all our,
Are they under
our digital work. Yeah.
They're in a contract for that?
Yes, yes.
Move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Board Member Brandemart?
Yes.
Board Member Grace?
Yes.
Board Member Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Harris?
Yes.
Chairman James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Discussion and possible action, executive director recruitment.
Yeah, we just,
Very
the
briefly.
CRA, I can go quickly because I know you're short for time. The CRA manager, myself, and the economic development manager, we reviewed 20 applications, and we did a short list of 8, and we have been helped by the city manager's office, Human Resources Department, to get the interviews done. And we recommended, we sort of need to know from the board whether you would like to interview all 8 shortlisted candidates that we have, and we can set up arrangements to have them come in through the city clerk's office. Or if you want one of yourselves to actually do some shortlisting interviews and then have 3 or 4 candidates come to you for interviews. So that
Well,
was the
before
question.
really quickly, I see your light is on, but I would like to nominate someone to short list, and obviously,
I'm that person.
I would
I'm
nominate
coming.
Board Member Grace, because she has the most experience up here in knowing what the
Okay.
city would need, and I know
Yes.
this is her last go-round, and I think that she deserves that spot. Okay, Board Member,
Actually, I've had the opportunity this weekend, since I had extra time. I looked at the list of 20, and then I looked at your list of 8, and then I went
so you own it.
hunting for the right person. I don't want a person to come in here that does not have the expertise to run this, because this is our baby. And if it falls in our lap. So out of your 8-term list, I've narrowed it down to 4.
Okay,
Well, we'll
And we'll
nominate
talk
you
about
to
the 4, and then we can go from there.
short list.
okay.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is if somebody up here wanted to kind of filter it out a little bit more, go through that recommendation was from the CRA, but I feel that the director should be
I've
making.
got pages.
Oh, no, look at
Okay,
her.
well, I guess,
Okay,
is
so-
anybody all in favor of Board Member Grace being the short lister of short lists? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Great. Okay, administrative reports, I think you already,
I think we pretty much did everything. We did have one more slide just to say all the upcoming events, but you know Dan already mentioned most of them. But I must mention that the Patch has a neighborhood garage sale coming up soon in September. We have them every year, and it's fantastic. I just want to say one quick word about the Patch as well. The Patch is being reset, so if you go to the Patch now, you won't see much growing. We're actually clearing everything out and starting anew for fall planting.
okay. Thank you. Board member comments, Board Member Salvino?
None, thank you.
Board Member Grace?
No.
Board Member Brenda Marty? No. Vice Chair? No. And I have no comments myself. Meeting adjourned.
10 years experience in real estate, but nothing in CRA, okay? So, I mean, real estate is fine, but I need somebody across the board to do everything.
No, you're right.
Okay, so if we do it,
Thank you.
if we do it, thank you, baby. If you do it by numbers, this guy, I don't know who has the most
Well, I
experience.
agree with that. I agree
the
with that there.
star, okay? No, we couldn't do that. He worked for me in 93.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't
you
think,
know.
I've had some bad feelings with him.
Okay,